Hello and welcome to the CiviWiki weekly meeting. Today is Monday, April 23rd, 2018. My name is Briley Christopher Oxley and I'm joined here by
Paul Scheid.
Gordon.
Juhi and
Gordon
Gordon.
Tangler.
All right, so it looks like we've had some good development progress this week. A couple of PRs merged, one big one in progress. Juhi, do you want to lead us off with what you have going on your plate?
Yeah, sure. So there were a bunch of milestones that were part of the point to prioritize backlog. So I was able to tackle a couple of those out really quickly. I'm planning to move on to the other items in the prioritized backlog set to take a little bit more time that are related to documentation. And so there should be a couple of them related to them. So I'm going to be tackling those. And then in addition to the small ones that are still active, if there are any. But yeah, my previous week has been just going through the minor bugs or providing more info on our webpage and stuff like that. And there are a couple of more on the prioritized backlog that are low-hanging fruits if anyone wants to take care of them, or if you're stuck on a problem and you want to get progress on some sort of avenue, they're there for you to pick up.
Let's go ahead and make sure, as mentioned last week, that all of the issues have label of some sort and a milestone if possible, but more importantly the label. Particularly good first issue and help wanted labels for the low-hanging fruit, so that way it's really obvious which ones seem relatively easy to take. For example, CSS misbehaving after editing categories. I don't know. Well, anyways, yeah, let's work together on that. And the second thing is
speaking of labels, I had a question about the ready label. Is that ready to be kind of tackled?
Yeah.
The problem is ready to be tackled? Is that the label? Okay.
Yeah. It kind of goes from left to right. It's like getting at the starting line. Prioritized backlog is our bucket list that we think we can focus on in the next few weeks or months. The ready column is stuff that's ready right now, like to start. In progress and done, or self-explanatory. Sometimes projects will have a blocked column that is for things that have either been ready or started and can't progress until other things are completed. This, Kanban's not the perfect tool, but it's still, I think, better than just having a big list of issues.
I guess for me, the term ready wasn't as clear on what it meant.
Yeah, that's
just the word ready instead of maybe, is it possible to change the label to something more descriptive?
Like what? Next up.
Something like that, because ready could mean a lot of different things.
Yeah, like the food's ready.
It's not clear if you're just if you haven't participated in a big development environment, and if you just go in and it says ready, it's just not right there for you to pick up on what that means.
Yeah, there's several types of ready. There's like ready for review, stuff like that. All right, well let's try next up so then it's more clear.
And I'm just going to real quick jump in and test. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for taking the meeting off. I could actually hear you guys, but my microphone on my computer wasn't working, so I had to switch over to my phone.
All right, how do I do these columns? Repos, board columns. Well, I'll have to set a new label for this next up thing, but I can do that after the call. All right, so are there any other updates on the issue, for example, the Django REST framework? Okay, do any of the other developers want to mention what progress you've made this week?
Yeah, I can go.
Cool.
Yeah, so I was working on porting from Python 2 to Python 3,
All right.
and that was pretty good. I'm not sure whether you want me to just do like a pull request and just like do like all the files like in that pull request, or I could just like give you a script that would run everything and like generate some logs and do all that.
Always start with a pull request as soon as you take an issue. Just make a small commit and open a pull request right away.
Right, but like there are like a lot of files that were changed by the futurized Python script. So like it'd be like a pretty large pull request. I'm not sure if you like want like just all of that up there.
Yeah, I mean, unless you know of a way to break it into smaller chunks, I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to do it then.
Yeah, it's sometimes every once in a while we'll have a big one that goes through the pipeline, but yeah, we do. That's a good point that you do want to try to keep it small as possible, but we'll just have to be really careful and review this closely.
Yeah, I have some files with like the output and stuff saved, so you can go through that. It said that it looked pretty good. Like I used Pylint, and can I use Python 3? That's like another Python package, to see if there are any like conflicts or anything. And like all the scores were like 9.7 out of 10 and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, so as soon as you get that opened up, we can start going through that. I'm working on these columns right now, but that sounds like good work so far. And then the next one I think we can tackle is the Django 2.0. Okay, so are there any other major development, either tasks or ideas? I know that there was one that came up in discussion that we could touch base on.
Well, it's interesting that you guys bring up the Python 2 to 3 because I created a branch off the main script where I did a bunch of auto converters 2 to 3. I used some online tools to go through some pages. Updated 87 files and like two merges behind, but I got all that updated. And like I said, I created a new branch for that as well. I also got the doc string finished, and I'm trying to upload that as well, but like I said, my internet seems to be going up and down, and it's been stuck at the 43% for the past 25 minutes now. So I think I'm gonna have to restart that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe just focus down on the doc strings if you can create a new branch at your convenience. It's not urgent, so whenever you can wait till your internet is back up, wait till the storm passes. We're on a kind of a 24-hour cycle here. Like I can review stuff during the daytime Eastern European time zone, so I can catch it. If you make your changes in the evening your time, then I'll probably review it about 10 or 12 hours later, something like that. So it's not, we're not really that closely synchronized here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, but yeah, so just to reiterate, go ahead and take the scope of yours down to just those doc strings if you can, because that's that's a really important task, particularly if we are going to use the Django admin, continue providing that. It'll automatically document up the user interface and the kind of the model and everything based on those doc strings.
Sounds like a plan, then.
Okay, Mitchell, did you want to discuss the idea that you brought up for?
Yeah, I'll first cover. So I did get. I wanted to check in. I linked us to Code Climate. Does that show up elsewhere aside from me just having a dashboard for it? I don't know how well that's integrated into our GitHub repository itself.
Depending, I've not got through the settings, but it should start scanning pull requests. So when we view a pull request like number 164, Code Climate should come in here and check out the latest commit and give you warnings. I don't.
There's also a there's like a browser extension that you can install that helps with code climate and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Mitchell, did you have any documentation you were working through for that task? I don't see it in the pull request.
So I did not push it up. Literally everything was done outside of GitHub. I just linked it to the repository, and I wanted to check in before I closed anything out to make sure that it did what we were supposed to do. Because I have on my end, as soon as I got it started, it did a review of our code and gave us a score. Like it's got repository stats. It says like code smells, duplication, other issues, and so it highlights those.
Okay.
And then it gives us a rating. We have, I think, they say technical debt of a D, which means that there's a ratio of between 20 to 25%. Our rated D, I guess, is where we are.
Probably our job.
And so I've got that set up, and I haven't worked with this before, so I just wanted to make sure that the way I linked it to the repository actually worked. If so, we can close that issue, and we should continue to get the ongoing feedback as we make pull requests. And so that's what I wanted to check before I closed that issue, or at least commented that I was done in some way.
Yeah, I guess.
How pedantic is it, if you don't mind me asking?
How pedantic?
Yeah. Does it like mark everything? Like even not allow any sort of warning through, or is it more like standard? Here's your errors, here's your warning. You stop errors, but allow warnings to go through.
I'm not sure. Maybe Joe, do you have? So I've got. It shows these issues, and it's got. It marks the file, and then just kind of like shows a little piece of it. It ranks them to how critical they are, so I can look at only the most critical ones, which doesn't seem like we have a lot of majorly critical ones. It's got. But yeah, on my website, like on their website, I can go through and it'll show me the locations of anything that they highlight as a problem. Under each of the issues that they find, and so they have 405 issues that they identify in our code. I don't know how severe they are. They range from minor to critical. Most of ours seem to be 2 dots. And then it ranks each of our files, so it has like ranks from A to F, I think, and our lowest grade is a D. And so each file that we have has been reviewed and been given a score. And so it can track that on this side, and so I don't know if I need to give more access to this website that I'm on, or if we're going to just have that as an ongoing piece of our code as we push new up and get whatever feedback from it.
I'm going to go ahead and add the code climate to our README so that you can take your time and go ahead and explore the statistics on your own.
Cool.
Okay.
CiviWiki. By the way, I think that having changed, I see, I broke our waffle badge by changing the label. Let's see if I can fix that in the same PR.
Yeah. And if we want, so I suppose for this next week we'll review this code climate issue. Would you like me to close that pull request, or should we leave it open while we're still kind of getting it integrated into our system? It could be a good place for comments to discuss how we're going to integrate this properly, but we could also open new issues if we have them.
Yeah, we can open new issues.
Okay, well then I'll plan on closing that issue after this meeting. And so then you had previously mentioned the idea that I posted on our Riot channel. What I noticed is, so that this week Paul pushed me to try and get a few more beta users onto the account, and so I made a couple of posts on some Reddit threads that were focused on civics and democracy to try and get some people on the website. We had at least one person go in and try and start up a thread online, but they didn't, since they were just a solo person coming in and following a link and playing around the website, they didn't have anyone with them. And so they like opened up a proposed thread and then just stopped. And I think that what we need is to have some method of, one, communicating with these people. So like, I know there's this user on there, but I don't know who they are, aside from they did give their name and location, so we could probably search them down, and that leads to the privacy issues that we have talked about previously. But I think what would be important for us is to have some simplified method for engaging our user base, or at least them talking to each other. That might be as simple as opening up an outside, Riot channel, chat channel that we can allow people to use, and we just advise them to sign up for it as part of our login process. However, alternatively, we would need to, find some method of trying to allow a community to form on our website. Because right now, we can bring people to the website, but unless they have outside connections to collaborate outside of our website, it's a very difficult place for them to collaborate or really engage in the website.
It's funny you mentioned Reddit. I know Reddit, you've got like the admins and moderators, and you could always @ an admin. Do we have anything like that for CiviWiki set up, or even the ability to do that?
My understanding is not currently, though we had talked about giving different permissions. I know that we have some permissions set up that allow certain people to use a sharing feature. So Juhi, you might be able to speak more to the particular structure, because that might be something that would be expandable to deal with administrative control.
What sharing feature are you talking about when you say sharing feature? Is it within the website?
Yeah, so like a year ago or so, you set up a system for me to add emails and send those email links, and it would let people pass the
system.
Yeah, and that was used just to get people past the beta blocker. We removed the beta blocker, but I know that we had set up some sort of permission for it to where only certain accounts had that permission. That I was thinking might be the basis that we could use for the administrative control that Gordon was mentioning.
I don't think that this is. I don't know how related the administrative control is to discussing how to have users communicate on the website. I also don't fully understand like what specifically you're talking about. Are you talking about the ability to chat with friends on CiviWiki? Because people can communicate with each other through the civies that they create.
Yeah. Well, what I'm pointing out is, right now we have 0 notifications. So let's say, this person who came to our website, they logged in, they went through the process, they signed in, they created their first issue, and then there was no one there that knew that their issue had been created. So, unless someone just happened to be perusing the website and saw that it popped up. And, when I went on then to their issue and I added some additional cities, they didn't get a notification that I had added any cities. So unless they just independently log back on to look at that article, they don't know that there's a conversation going on, so they're not going to be involved in that way. And then separately, so like not only once they log off do they have no connection with their content anymore, and with the fact that we don't have a large user base, that becomes a problem for anyone ever signing back on. But then separately, being on these cities, there's not really a great way for them to communicate, to collaborate around the cities that they want to talk about. So like, for example, the cities that I added to this lady, she had posted something like trying to talk about essentially the problems with people not discussing race and how that might contribute to, persistent racism. And so I put a couple of cities just being like, okay, so let's identify what are these statistical problems you want to talk about, and then what are the causes of these problems, and then, what are these solutions? And so I put a couple of cities trying to help organize the conversation, but unless she gets a notification that these cities have been added, she's not going to see them. And once she joins, if you wanted to have some collaboration to say, okay, let's break up this problem. There's a lot of statistical problems that we want to highlight as these harms. Hey, you write one on this, I write one on this. There's no way to really collaborate unless we use an outside source. So that's why my thought was maybe to have a Riot chat channel so that if anyone logs on and wants to start collaborating on an issue, they have some method of talking to other users, because it just right now it's so insulated and isolated that it's really tough to build community within the CiviWiki website itself.
That sounds like an interesting idea, and we can definitely put it into like a research phase, finding out how one might embed a live chat. What would be the path of least resistance to getting that online in the context of the other issues that we have at hand? I'd say take that offline, and let's throw any other quick comments on that one, and either open an issue on GitHub or 2 issues. It sounded like there was a couple of branches there, or Lumio, whichever you prefer. But let's get it fleshed out a little bit more. It sounds good, and I think.
And I believe I've opened up an issue on GitHub.
Okay, cool.
To begin this conversation, so we can start there, perhaps.
All right, perfect. Hey, Mitchell, can you see the chat window? I sent you a link. I'm trying to get this Code Climate badge on our README, and it turns out I can't just do it. I need you to kind of log in and get the exact code, the markdown code.
Okay, I'm on Code Climate. I did not get your message. This new Jitsi app is being weird in terms of showing chat.
Okay. It's under. Just do a search. Well, anyway, I'll email you after that.
It's on. I'm under Overview, under Progress, Issues, Code, Trends. I feel like I've seen one before.
On the left,
Settings,
it's
maybe?
under Badges, under Extras.
Extras. Badges. Yep, I see badges.
And grab that maintainability badge. I don't think we have great test coverage right now, so.
Maintainability badge. Yep.
Yeah, and select the markdown, and then if you'll either email me that or somehow send it in the chat, I'll go ahead and paste it into this pull request.
Okay. If I could make this chat work, right now I've got something I think on my screen that's blocking it, so I'll email you to right now.
All right, thanks. And I can just get that done while we're on the call.
Cool.
All right. Well,
what were you gonna say?
I just said we're about half past the hour, so let's see if there's no other pressing issues. If we might wrap up the call.
Yep, I think we should probably just talk about making sure there's any barriers going into this next week, and make sure everyone has a good, solid plan for the tasks they're going to be taking on moving into this week. Would probably be the best way to use these last couple minutes.
Cool.
I have no issues.
All right, so for reference, I've changed the ready column to next up. So anything that you're either getting ready to work on or working on should be in the corresponding column, next up or in progress. Try not to work too much out of the prioritized backlog or backlog, because those are our buckets of all the things. So communicate your progress and where you're at by using the Kanban labels, if not the Kanban board.
Great. Okay, I just sent you the maintainability badge. Okay, so yeah, I guess before we jump off the call, I guess Gordon, what are you planning on working on moving into this next week, and then same for Joe and Doogie, and then
Mitchell, I think you set it up.
We got a good sense of that, so I think I missed those things.
Excuse me, Mitchell, I think you set up Code Climate for the wrong repository. You set it up for MD West CiviWiki, and we're in an organization repository, CiviWiki organization, open CiviWiki repository. That's
okay, let me go back.
Find it.
Is that the old version of the repository, I guess?
Yeah, remember we set up because MD West is your private account, and generally when you start collaborating on these projects, it's good to set up an organization account.
Yeah, and I thought I was a member of the organization, so I thought that worked. Well, I will fix that after the call. I might run into problems with that. So I created my account using my own user account. I might have to create a new account, I guess?
No, you should your user account should have the same permissions in GitHub. So when you log into Code Climate with your GitHub user, you should have all the same permissions you have on GitHub, more or less. In other words, you can select the organization repository.
Yeah, I'm solving that right now.
Okay, cool, no worries. And just send me the email
Yep.
with the code, or else if you want to do your own pull request, that's fine too.
Fantastic. Yeah, I will send you another email with that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Cool.
Okay, well, we are down to the last 2 minutes. We can just jump off, but I didn't get a clear, aside from continuing to work on updating our Django and Python, I didn't know if we had a clear direction for where we're going with each person's projects this coming week. I like it when we try and point out, the issues that we're going to focus on as best as possible.
Well, I was going to finish uploading the doc strings, the Python 2 to 3 stuff that I've done, and then just grab the next item on the prioritized backlist right now. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not at the computer with a good internet connection, so I can't see what it is, but that's kind of my plan.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I can probably finish up the I can probably finish up the 2 to 3 porting pretty soon. Probably get that pull request in today. As far as this week, I was just wondering, going back to the admin and moderator controls that we were just discussing, do we have anything that would allow someone, maybe like a thread owner, to delete certain comments that are obviously like trolling or obnoxious, stuff like that?
I don't think we've integrated that yet, though it was on our one of our design documents. Juhi, can you confirm whether we've integrated anything?
Yeah, so right now only the content creator has the control, or the site administrators, I suppose, have the control to delete a content, and that's something we should be able to look into. Yeah.
Who is the website admin? Are we able to give that control to different user accounts manually?
Yeah, we can. It's
right now manually.
Yeah.
There's no explicit system for it.
Well, there is. Django has an inbuilt role system, so if we just use that, it's got role-based access control and permission system built in out of the box with every Django app. So I think we should really not reinvent that.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. We don't have like an explicitly like designed system. We do have one that comes out of the box, but
yeah. So let's use that as the basis for our permissions system, such as removing content, things like that. And you can even write custom permissions.
Sounds good. It sounds like we have a good option for integrating that.
Yeah, definitely. Just make the second part of your question though is it in our backlog? I don't know, but we need to make sure that's not just part of the design document, but that we actually have a task that we can prioritize that. So we'll want to make sure that is set up moderation.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, we'll add that as an issue then. And then Juhi, what were you moving on to this week?
So there's a couple of like easy issues that make the milestone really bigger than it seems. So I was just gonna tackle those out of the way.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So it sounds like we've each got takeaways for going into this next week. We'll want to add an issue so that we can have a deeper conversation about administrative control, but we'll take that conversation off this call since we're coming to the end of our meeting. So unless anyone has something else to cover, we'll try and drag these additional issues into the Riot chat and opening issues on GitHub. Does anyone have anything else they want to raise, though? I just wanted to be respectful of everyone's time. Hearing none, I think we can probably close the meeting and move any continued discussion of administrative control to a separate GitHub issue or to the Riot chat. And I did just send you, Briley, that fixed proper link. And yeah, sound good, everybody?
Okay, sounds good. See you guys on Riot.
See ya.
Sounds good. See you later.
Have a great week.